Hey guys, welcome back to the channel Custom Carving and Epoxy UK. I hope you're all doing well. Those of you that have been following the channel have probably seen that I'm getting a little bit obsessed with blooms at the minute and trying to get the perfect bloom. I've had very mixed results, so this one I would say was a success and it came out really well with those sort of metallic pastes with the gold, the blue and the white there, and then that center that I did with the glass. I think that one came out really successful. And then the next one I tried, for some reason, had a weird reaction. The metallic paste had a very weird reaction with the bloom. It didn't bloom at all and turned out into a blobby mess. Exactly the same resin, exactly the same temperatures. So I don't know what happened, if I'm being completely honest, but it does still look kind of cool. You've kind of got that Liechtenstein effect, what you get in wood when you sort of burn it or electrify it. But it wasn't what I was going for, and that on the front is just appalling. So we'll forget that ever happened. But what I'm going to try and do is recreate some of the successes that I had with the first one this time. But I want to try a slightly different design because I've been thinking about it. And logically, blooms, with a mould this sort of shape, it will naturally go inwards anyway. So I actually want to use the shape to my advantage. And the plan here is to pipe as closely to the edge as I can get it, all the way around. And then we know these outer bits should really bloom in quite well. And then try a circular effect in the middle to almost get a completely different effect in the middle, but leave these as petals and see if that works. I don't know if it's going to work or not. As I say, this is just an experiment. And the colours I'm going to go with is the white bloom. I've got this orange papaya, which I absolutely love the colour of. So I'm going to try some of that. It's just a standard mica powder. And then I'm going to do a little bit of this pink mica powder pigment in there as well, and I'm going to be quite creative with it. The key is going to be getting this resin to the right temperature and getting it to work so it doesn't all just sink and make a blobby mess. But I'm still unsure at the minute as to what the right temperature is, because as I say, I got two very different results with two different blooms which were at the right temperature. So I'm going to wait until the base gets to around about 35 this time. At the minute it's 28.4. On the surface it's already nearly 31. But I'm going to try and wait until that gets to around about 35 this time before I start the process and see if that solves the problem. I don't know where I am going wrong sometimes, and I think that's part of the fun of working with resin. You know, not every piece you're going to do is going to work out. But hopefully the ones that do work out, like that one, make up for the ones that don't. And I think that's part of the fun. It's just experimenting, having fun and seeing what happens. I'm not going to muck around with any alcohol inks with this one either. I'm just going to use the mica powders. I'm going to put a sprinkling of gold in the white bloom. So I've got some gold here there's just standard gold mica powder. I'm going to put a little tiniest bit of that in with the white bloom, just to see if that comes through or not, because I don't want it to actually colour the bloom itself, but it would be cool to get a few of those coming through like I did with the iridescent blue powders. But again, I don't want that to affect the bloom, so whether it works or not, I don't know. So we're going to find out together in this project and see what happens. So all you've missed so far, I've mixed up, I think I did 4 ounces of resin, even though the mold only takes 3, because any spare resin I do like to use in other pieces anyway. Just gives me more to demold, basically. And I think I'll use about 3 ounces in here and then do some key rings or some other pieces like these with the spare that I've got left. But yeah, that's it really. I mean, each resin is very different when it comes to bloom, and I'm actually going to experiment with this a bit further over the next few videos, because I've got some low viscosity resin. I've got this Let's Resin 1-to-1 which I'm using today, which is, I would say, more of a medium viscosity, and And then I've got some Janchun resin, which I find really thick as a resin. So I want to see what different effects using different resin makes. And what I might try and do is, if this experiment works, is replicate it exactly the same with the two other resins to see if we get a different result. If that's something that you'd be interested in seeing, let me know in comments so that I know that it's something you'd want to see. If not, I'll just do a different video, but it helps me to know what the audience actually wants, because at the end of the day, we're trying to grow this together. It is your channel as well as mine, so let me know if that's something you'd be interested in me experimenting with. Let me know if you're getting fed up of the blooms as well. If you are, there's plenty of other videos that I've done with frogs, pendants, things like that, so look through the playlist. And if you haven't already, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel. We've gone over 6,600 subscribers now. I really want us to get to 10,000 over the next few weeks. Now, with regards to that, over 80% of people that watch these videos don't subscribe. So genuinely, if you can give me 20 seconds of your time, click the button, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on your TV as well, just log into your YouTube on your phone, on your computer, whatever's easier, and click subscribe. It makes such a difference to the channel. And with blooms, as I've said before, it's all about being ready for when that gets up to temperature. You've got to have everything ready to go. I'm going to be using the piping bags again, just because I think it gives me a bit more control. Although in the last video, it didn't seem to have much control, but especially when I'm going to be trying to pipe as close to that edge as possible without touching it, I'm going to need a piping bag for that control. And I just want to see if that is going to work as a design, because for me, that will be utilizing the design of the mold. I'm still going to go in afterwards with my tool to separate the petals and make sure that they are separated. But I just want to see if this will work, because I haven't seen it done before where somebody actually just follows the mold with the different colors to see if that gets a different effect. So we're going to see if it works today. As you can see, 32 on the top, but we're still only at 29.8 at the bottom, so I've probably got about another 5 minutes to wait. So I'm going to pause the video and then we'll come back when that bottom is up to about 35 degrees. So I'm back now, and I think we're almost there. So the surface is currently showing me as 34.6, which is about there, but the base is still only 31.4. So I'm going to wait for that base to come up a little bit before I actually mix. And I think I'm going to try it, as I say, at 35 degrees. But I'm going to get everything ready. So I'm going to be using some of these glass bits again for the center, because I think that came out really well. As I say, I'm going to be using this papaya as one of the colors, and I'm not going to need a lot, I don't think, but I want to get it organized and in this little cup before I actually pour my resin. Just makes that a little bit easier for me. So I'm going to get the tiniest amount, he says. And literally, you don't need a lot of mica, and the more you use, the heavier you're making it. So literally that much should be more than enough. And you never want to mix more than 10% of your pigments or your micas or your colorings to what you're going to do in resin. So always remember that as a rule. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So that'll be my papaya. I'm going to sprinkle a bit of the gold mica in there as well, just to mix it up. Don't be afraid to mix your colours, you know. And not a lot, just a tiny bit. And I think that way it will still mainly stay that lovely papaya colour, but hopefully we'll get a few golden tinges to it, shall we say. I've got this really almost fluorescent neon pink, so I'm going to do that for the other one. And again, just a tiny amount. And I'm probably not going to use much of this, to be honest with you. I just wanted a different contrasting colour for the bloom. If it works, that is. So that is that. And then the third one is just going to be my white. And as I say, I'm going to put a sprinkle of the gold mica just in there as well. Not a lot, just literally a tap. to see if that comes through the white bloom. Literally, that is all I'm putting in, so not a lot. Works with the iridescent blue powder that I've tried, but I don't think it will work with mica. I just think it will slightly tinge the bloom, but we'll see. And there we go, temperatures showing us 34 on the base, 36 on the top. So I think we are pretty much ready to go. Going to give it a couple more seconds, and then what I'm going to do is pour and mix these colours first, and then pour the base, and then whilst I'm sorting all those colours out and putting them into the piping bags, that can be settling down a little bit, and hopefully we're still going to get that bloom effect, but we will see. So look at how crystal clear that resin is as well, guys. Beauty of using a debubbling machine. I would highly recommend if you've not got one. So first thing I'm going to do is, as I say, just mix up my colours. So I'm going to use about half a pot for each one, and again, just eyeballing it. Don't have to be precise. If anything, the one that I want the most of is probably the white. So I'll probably do a touch more of the white, because that's the one that's going to actually make your bloom work, hopefully. And again, I've never really tried it with micas, so we're going to see if that's going to work as well. But hopefully I don't get a blobby mess this time. But with this mould as well, I found it easy to just sort of pour around the edges to make sure that you're getting some in those edges, and then dump the rest in the middle. And then hopefully it pushes everything else out like that. And I do want to get as much of this out as possible. So again, just use your mixing stick and try and get those last drops out, because it's an extra layer of thickness for your bloom. And you will create a few bubbles by doing it, but you can always torch them afterwards. So I'm just going to let that settle for a second now that it's poured, whilst I mix the colours. So I'll go with the straightforward one first, this fluorescent pinky colour. And again, with micas, make sure you mix it properly, because otherwise you're just going to get blobs of mica powder, which you don't want. And that's a really almost neon pink, but it's still got a slight translucency to it. So again, that's why I didn't want to put too much in there. So that is my pink. This is the papaya with the gold, and I really want to see what this comes out like colour wise. See, even that tiny bit of gold, you can really see it coming through, but it's still that bright, vibrant orange underneath, so I really like that colour. And then for my white, for the bloom, I'm gonna literally just add probably a drop of this ocean white. See how we get on. And I was putting this upside down before a project, but then it was dripping absolutely everywhere. So I think that is about a drop and a half. And again, with your white, what you want to make sure of is that you've still got a slight bit of translucency. Be interesting to see if that gold does add a shimmer or not. But you want it to be not quite opaque, otherwise it won't spread properly from what I've seen. And you can see there, I can still see the stick underneath. That's what I'm looking for. So that is pretty much those ready. I'm just going to leave those to the side now so they can settle, and I can torch any bubbles. Now I can see a couple of bubbles already in this, so I'm just going to go around. They like to get into these points and around the edges, so I'm just going to go around the edges with my tool and try and release any bubbles that are in there like that. And then there's a couple there. I just want to bring those to the surface so that I can hopefully get them with the torch. And then I think we'll be good to go. And they do, as I say, you sometimes get a couple that really like to stick, but just persist and they will come loose. There we go. And then make sure you wipe your tool, otherwise you won't be able to use it again. And when you're torching, try not to go to the edge because you will ruin your mold. And I think I've got this one set a little bit high actually, so I'm just going to turn the heat down. There we go. And I don't know what that is. Oh, it's underneath, so it's okay. It's not actually in the resin. But there we go. As you can see, it's a medium viscosity, this one. But that's why you wait for that amount of time, just for it to thicken up a little bit, so that your bloom doesn't just sink to the bottom. But I think that is probably as good as I'm going to get it. Happy with that. So I'm going to go and pour the colours into my piping bags. So the bloom first, or the white, and try and scrape every last drop out because you don't know how much you're going to need. And the worst thing is if you run out halfway through your design. There we go. So that is my white. Now my fluorescent pink. Again, I can feel these already starting to thicken up a little bit as well. So I think it's a case of getting a shifty on to get that bloom. But as I say, I'm going to try and pipe these in a slightly different design and see if it makes a difference to the overall look. What I'm going to do now is just put these in as well whilst I'm sorting these out. So just trying to sprinkle them in the middle, not too many. I think that'll do. And let those sink. Sometimes you might just want to give them a hand, sinking and making sure that they're covered in that resin and that hopefully they're not going to go all over the place, and hopefully they go to the bottom so the resin can still spread. You don't want to build up any layers, just want them flat on that mold. There we go. So that is my center. It's not perfect, but it looks pretty cool, I think. Just give it another quick torch. Now that's done. And then the final one was this papaya and gold. I'm just going to pour that into this one. And let me know what you think in comments, guys. Do you think this is going to work? Or do you think I'm going to get another blobby mess? And the thing that crushes me when I get a mess or something go wrong is I think to myself, I've just wasted 4 ounces of resin. And again, resin's not cheap. And not to mention the extra things that you've added. It's just a waste. So it really gets on my nerves if the project doesn't go right, but I think it's the only way to learn. So as you can see, I've just poured those in. Then all you do is you get your piping bag, give it a good squeeze, and then you're ready to go. And as you can see, that tiny bit of gold has just sent it almost a cream color, but I'm hoping it's not going to affect the bloom. I'm hoping it's still gonna bloom. But we will find out together. Again, that's a lovely colour, so really hoping this works. Praying to the resin gods. Because I can't figure out why it didn't work last time. The only thing is, I used that metallic blue paste, which I haven't used before. So again, look at that pink, it's almost neon. So I think this will look really cool, providing it works. So what I'm going to try and do is just pipe actually into those edges. And I want the bloom to be the thickest. So I'm just going to try and take a decent amount off. And then I'm going to try and have more controlled pipe than last time, because last time I did it, it went a little bit all over the place. But I want to have control. And I think that's the hard thing when you're piping. Just going to start. And I don't want to touch the edge, but I want to get as close to the edge as possible. And I'm just following that mold around. There we go, so that's that bit. Looks pretty good. I might do another layer. Almost like a little star. And as long as this blooms, I think we're going to get a good effect. So that's that part. Now this bit where it blobbed a little bit, I'm just going to pull it across so it helps it hopefully spread and prevent a blob. Because what I don't want is any blobbing. So that's that. Now I'm going to go in with this papaya. And I want this to be a little bit thinner. Like that. And then what I might do is actually go in between if I can. I've got to be careful here that it doesn't overlap. Because I still want that white to bloom. And I'm just trying to get it in between those two layers, if I can. There we go. So that is that. And again, this bit here looked like it might potentially blob, so I'm just going to move that up. And this bit here. Okay, so happy with how it's going so far, and then I do that. Hopefully it won't have too much of an impact, but we'll see in the end result. And now for this pink. Oh, that's so annoying. Just by dipping it in there, it's really brought that white down. We'll see. Well, again, it's the second accident I've had actually in the most recent video, so I just need to be a little bit more careful, I think. And now in with this pink. There we go. And what I might do, just try and be a bit experimental. Put a couple of drops here and there. And what I'm hoping is all of that bloom is going to pull inwards anyway. But again, I might be preventing it with these other resins, I don't know. I've not tried this before. It is all an experiment. But I do love the colours, which is half the battle. As long as you've got the right colours and you're happy with it, it should work. Now I've still got quite a bit of this white left, So again, I'm gonna try and get a layer just somewhere in the center and almost do that circular effect like so. And then I can still bring it around a little bit around all the rest and hopefully just sort of connect everything. So that's the design so far. Now this is all going to be spare resin. Again, don't overwork it, you know. And then I'm going to go in to the center like so, from everywhere where it points down. But I'm loving the way it's looking so far. And providing it blooms, I think I could have an amazing result here, but again, that is providing it blooms. Because if it doesn't bloom, then it won't look great. But I'm happy with that. And what I might do is just pull these top 3 layers out like that. So from there, bring them out just to where roughly the end of that petal is. And hopefully this isn't going to blob, because as I say, at the minute, design wise, I think it's one of my favourites. And so I think that looks absolutely amazing. As long as that bloom continues to pull in, I think I'm going to have a really good result with that. So I'm just going to leave that. And you know what, if it stays slightly translucent in the center, I'm not fussed about that. I still think it will look amazing. So what I'll do then is I'll put a backing on it. But I've still got probably about 1.5 ounces of resin in there. So I am going to try and find a mold to put it in. And I'm going to see if I've got a new mould actually that I haven't used before. One that I don't know how much resin it uses. I'm going to do the reindeer and see what it comes out like. So again, it's one I bought off Timo. I think it was about £2. And we are approaching that festive season. So it just looks like a little reindeer. And I'm just going to literally layer these in. If I can get this bloom into the antler, that will be cool. But I don't know how easy that's going to be. We will see. Just trying to get that bloom into both of the antlers. Squeezing it all out. And not trying to get it anywhere else. There we go. And they seem to be filling quite well actually. Almost the antlers and the ears. So again, just giving it a squidge as that goes in. And that's all of my white gone. Let's try and use this gold and the pink in sort of different sort of swirly effects. So there's some gold. I don't think I'm going to have enough to completely fill it, but we'll find out. There's some of this fluorescent pink. And that is starting to bloom, so fingers crossed guys, this might work. I just want it to pull all the way in, because then I think it will look absolutely amazing. And I'm just trying to squeeze every last drop out of these bags into this little reindeer. I should have sprayed it with some mold release, but I forgot. I hate wasting resin. That's why you'll always find me with spare molds on my workstation. So sorry if you think that affects the filming, but I think it's important. And again, this little guy I think is going to be about half full, so I'm just trying to get as much of this resin out as I can. And then I'm just going to top it up with some clear, I think, and give it a bit of a mix around once it's all in there. Again, first time using this mould, so it'll be an interesting demold. Getting the last bits of that pink out. That's gone. Last bit of this bloom out as well. Gone. And now, as usual, I'm about 1 ounce short, I think, so I'm just going to mix them up. Just want to make sure I've got all of these gorgeous colours out. So they're empty. Now I'm going to fill it up with a bit more of this, I think. So literally just going to do a pump of each. And that's the great thing about using these pumps with your resin. So I've got these 1-to-1 resin from Let's Resin. I actually got the pumps with the kit. And then all I can do is just mix up what extra I need. Like so. A couple of minutes. And then I can top up the mould. But look at that. That is blooming. I'm happy. So hopefully we're going to get a success. And I love those colours. So I just want it to go all the way in now. And then I know that we'll have a successful bloom. And what I think will be my best one yet. And then it's whether I back it or not. I've got a couple of mil left of space. And actually I think a purple backing would look really cool. So I'm going to come back in a few hours. See if it's bloomed inwards. The only thing is I did drop that bag in, so I'm hoping that that didn't affect it. But we'll find out. There we go. So I've just mixed that up in there. I'm going to pour it all into this little reindeer mould. And then I'm going to give the whole thing a good squidge up and down. And that's still not enough, actually, I don't think. Oh, you are joking me. So, as you can see, it's nowhere near full, so I'm going to need more resin, but I'm just mixing it all up, giving it a good squidge to try and encourage any air bubbles out and make sure that he is completely full. And as I say, I think he's going to be sort of semi-transparent, this guy, with the way that I've done the resin. But I'm just squeezing it, trying to get any of those bubbles to the top. And as you can see, I still need a little bit more. Probably say half a squirt of each this time. So again, just going to squirt half in. And hopefully I've mixed it right. I'm just going to get these other spare pots and see if I can scrape any of this extra colour in as well. So there's a bit of the pink. Not a clue what this little reindeer is going to turn out like. As I say, I've never done one before. But it'll be interesting to demold. And again, just make sure you mix it up. If you look at that bloom. Oh, it could be a stunner. It could be a great demold tomorrow. I just hope there's no blobbing on the front of that, because that to me is looking blooming perfect. Excuse the pun. Shout out to Julie as well from Pouring Your Heart Out, because I've watched a lot of her videos and she's imparted a lot of knowledge onto me. So thank you very much. And hopefully I get a shut the front door demold, as she would say, tomorrow. But we'll find out together. There we go. And that is pretty much full now, that reindeer. So we'll get to demold him. I think it's a reindeer anyway. And either way, I think it will get an interesting effect on that. So that's that. And then I've now got the tiniest bit of semi-transparent resin. And I've not got any tiny, well, in fact, yes I have, I've got these teddy bear molds, so again, might as well use them whilst I've got the resin, and that bloom is looking amazing. I'm going to take you down for a closer look in a second, but I'm just being careful not to move it or shift it, because that's one mistake I made in an earlier video. I shifted a bloom after I'd mixed it, and it completely shifted the whole bloom and ruined everything. So again, just be cautious. Once you put all of that work into it and getting the design the way that you want, don't play with it, just leave it. Don't move it, don't shift it, just leave it to do its thing. There we go, and let's just try and fill these if I can. And I'm going to keep making some of these with the spare actually, because I've got an idea for when I've got about, I don't know, 40 or 50 of them. And they'll become part of a bigger piece is all I'll say. And I want all different colours in it. So every time I do a piece now, I'm hoping I'll have a little bit spare just to make a few extras of these and see what we get. There we go. Another drop in there. And I think I'll get one more. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really hoping, looking at the back of this one, it's going to work. It's looking very, very good, and it's looking like the successful bloom I had. So I don't know what went wrong with that last one. The only thing I can put it down to, as I say, is that different metallic blue paste that I'd never used before. That seemed to have some sort of reaction with the bloom. Maybe I didn't mix it properly with the fact it was new and never used. I don't know, but I will have a look. And I will experiment with it again, because I want to know if it was me or if it was the paste. And there we go. So I'm going to just tidy around, and I'll come back in a couple of minutes just to show you how hopefully that will have fully closed. And we'll see. But I'll see you in a sec. So it's been probably about 5 minutes just whilst I've been cleaning round. I just want to show you how that is closing up. And that to me is how you can tell that it's hopefully going to be a success. Looking absolutely stunning there. I don't know if you can just see that shimmer coming through as well on those orange and golds that are mixed together, and the centers stay pretty center. I still want it to close up a bit more though. I want it to completely close. Whether it will or not is up to the resin now, but I think I will come back in a couple of hours because I think this one's going to work. And I'm going to use that purple pigment paste just to do a bit of a backing on this one, because I'm pretty confident it's not going to blob, apart from where I dropped in the piping bag again. But I think either way this one's going to look good, so I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to come back in a couple of hours or so. In fact, I'm going to give it a quick torch just to see if that encourages that to continue blooming just a little. Not a lot, but I just want to, it also gets rid of any bubbles, but I just want to kind of encourage it to still bloom if it's decided it doesn't want to bloom anymore. And get the bubbles off here as well, and off these. But yeah, just going in at the angle of each petal as well. So hopefully that will just encourage that last bit to close up. We'll find out soon. think that'll do. All I try to do there is try and encourage that last centre bit to close in, because if it does, this could be the best bloom yet. And again, we won't know until tomorrow. That's the downside with resin, but I'm hoping for a similar success to this one, if not hopefully without that excessive blobbing in the middle. But we'll see if it's going to work. It's still closing at the minute, so I'm really happy. Again, I think it's going to be really fun to see what this little reindeer turns out like, and these extra little bears that I managed to get just with the spare. So I'm going to leave it there, come back in a couple of hours, and then I'm just going to mix up probably about 30-40 mil, to be honest, just to put that backing over, because I think a purple will really make it pop, if it's worked. If not, it's only a little bit of more resin wasted. But I think it will finish the piece off, so I'm going to do it, and I'll see you tomorrow for demold. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and it looks like the bloom's working, so I'm going to risk it. So what I'm doing is just mixing up a spare bit of resin. I think I've done about 40 mil in here, which should be enough hopefully to just give this a backing, and I'm going to do it with that metallic purple that I trialled the other day, and hopefully, as I say, it looks like it's blooming from the back. I'm not going to risk lifting it up to see what it looks like from the front, but I think the only risk I've got is that place just there where I dropped the piping bag again, so hopefully that won't happen. So I'm mixing up the same resin, which is the Let's Resin 1:1, and then I'm just going to put some of that metallic paste in, put it in the bubble removal machine, and pour it on. And as I can say, I love that colour, so hopefully it'll really make it pop if it's worked, and I'm really praying it does, because I think with the colour scheme, with everything the way it looks from the back, this could be my best ever bloom. But we'll find out tomorrow, and let's hope I'm not too disappointed if it's not. But it feels like everything has gone right. Apologies, I know I'm not wearing gloves, which is very naughty of me, but I'm only doing this tiny bit of resin, so I didn't want to get a new pair of gloves on. So all I'm going to do is just use the stick that I've mixed the resin with, stir this around, and whatever's left on the stick is what I'm going to use. And I've thought back to the experiment that didn't work on the last video, and maybe I just didn't mix that blue enough. So maybe there was some sort of oil or something on the top. I don't know what they actually put in these, which created that weird effect. So yeah, literally, that's all I'm going to use, no more than that, whatever's left on the stick. And I am being careful with me not wearing gloves. And I'm just going to mix that around, and hopefully it'll give us that lovely metallic purple colour, which I really think will make these colours pop. And what I did do actually in between videos, sorry, I should have filmed this, but I put 1 drop of alcohol ink in the middle as well, just in case it didn't all come in. But actually, looking at it, it did. So I'm really happy with the way it's looking at the minute, and that's why I'm going to risk putting a backing on, and praying, as I say, that it's worked. But I'm loving that colour. Just look at that. Absolutely stunning. I might even risk, with this being quite opaque, not putting it through the bubble removal machine and just torching it. Because most of those bubbles are coming to the top anyway. But if you can see, look at the bubbles that it keeps in it. So in fact, no, I'm going back on that, and I am going to put it through the bubble removal machine for the sake of 2 minutes. If this does turn out, the last thing I want is a couple of air bubbles in the wrong place to make it look bad. So I'm just going to put this in the bubble removal machine, and then we'll be back. There we go, that's now gone through the bubble removal machine. So I'm just going to torch the top, get any of those last little surface bubbles that might be on there, and then we're ready to pour. And I think I've done too much again. I will get better with measuring the exact amounts needed, but again, I'm just going to go around the edges, and I'm hoping this is set enough. Feels like it is, like so, and then I'm going to dump the rest in the middle, until it is covered. I don't mind if it's slightly domes either. I'd rather that than it just be perfectly flat. And then any extras I can put in that teddy bear mould. Because who doesn't like metallic purple teddies? And I have got quite a bit left actually, so a couple of drops there, and I think that is that pretty much filled. So now I'm just going to put the rest into these little teddies. Very slowly if I can. Might actually fill this mould. There we go, I think that's all I'm going to get. And then all I'm going to do is just any of the ones where it hasn't fully spread, using my little stick, spread it around. Just didn't want to get another pair of gloves out. You should always wear your gloves in your respirator. And I'm very naughty for not doing it, so apologies for that. And this one's a little bit overfilled, so I'm just going to try and put a bit of that resin into one of the others that isn't quite as full. There we go. I think that is it now, so let those cure up overnight and hopefully we'll be ready for a demold tomorrow. So I'm just going to quickly torch it again to get rid of any of those air bubbles. Really struggling with this now to get the exact right setting. And again, when you're torching, just try not to go too close to your edges. I actually quite enjoy torching the bubbles off. There we go. So tomorrow we will have not only the bloom to demold, we'll have all of these little teddy bears, and I promise you I'm not going to do them one at a time. We'll also have this reindeer as well, which is curing up nicely and looks pretty cool. I actually think it feels cured now. Somehow, don't ask me how, looks like I managed to keep the white bloom in those antlers, so that's going to be really cool to demold tomorrow and see what it looks like. But the bloom, I am praying to the resin gods that it works, because from the back it looked like my best one yet. So we'll find out in the morning. See you then. Good morning, and it is the next day and it is time to demold. It's cured nicely, so I'm really excited by this. I'm not going to make you watch me demold each one of these. Just going to demold a couple to see what they look like. They're still a tiny bit soft because it's not been the full 24 hours, but it has been enough for them to cure. And there we go. There's those little teddy bears made with the spare. Look really cool. And as I say, I'm trying to get quite a few of these to do a bigger project with them. And again, that one's come out really cool as well. Just the different levels of transparency as well in there. So lovely little teddies. Do a couple more, just to show you they're all pretty much the same. And yeah, really happy with those. So they've turned out pretty cool, and looking at the way the pink and the papaya sort of mixed with that gold as well in there, hopefully it's going to have the same effect in that bloom, but we'll find out. So that is the teddies. Now for this reindeer, and as I say, looking in the mould, it looks like I managed to keep the white bloom in the antlers and the ears, so that's going to be pretty cool, hopefully. I've never demolded one of these before, so I'm just going to try and loosen things and then see how we get on. There we go. And I think if I just try and unwrap it, it should demold. God, they're a pain. I'm just trying to do it bit by bit, and I think the head's going to be the hardest part, just to get it over the widest part. There we go. I think it's, once it starts, it will demold, hopefully. Well, it takes a bit of pressure, this one. Not the easiest to demold, shall we say. And it's just getting it around that head part. I think once that's done, it'll be okay. But again, I'm trying to be careful because I don't want to damage the mold. So I'm just going to flip this back. Now it's got that bit of resistance. And go around the sides as well, just to again try and loosen it. Let me know if there's an easier way to demold this mold if you've got it yourself. I've seen some people actually pouring water in, and that's meant to make it easier, but I've not tried that yet. And I'm just trying to gently force it out, and once you get it loose, I think it will demold pretty easily, but it's just getting it to that point. So I know that this reindeer is very difficult to demold, if nothing else. So here we go. But I just don't want to damage the mold either. God, this is the hardest one I've had yet. Wow. We're getting there. Progress. Jesus, halfway there. This is definitely the hardest demold I've ever done. Here we go. Now we're getting it above the head. It should go pretty smooth, hopefully. But I've got to be careful now because I don't want to break off those antlers either. So I'm just going to give it a quick pull again. Sorry guys. There we go. And that is that cute little reindeer. Again, amazingly, I managed to get the white and the bloom just in the antlers and the ears. So I think he's turned out pretty cool. Not sure about the colour scheme on him, but it's my first time using that mould. And you know what? Christmas is not far away. 60 something days, I think. So that could become quite popular, this little reindeer. But yeah, I'm loving the way that turned out, and I love the way that somehow I managed to keep that bloom just in the antlers and the ears, just for that extra bit of separation. And now for the main event. And so I'm praying that this has turned out. Love that metallic purple again as the background, and we are going to find out. It's the first one I backed as well, so I'm really hoping it's turned out and we don't turn out with a blobby mess. That's the thing with blooms though, you never know what you're going to get until you demold. So just enjoy it, have some fun, and hopefully some will work out and some might not. I'm just going around each one of these points. And don't forget guys, if you're liking the content, do me a favour, like and subscribe to the channel. It makes a huge difference to the channel. And it just allows YouTube to push the content out to other people that might like it. So here we go. Whew. Please, please have worked out. Wow. That is my best bloom. Without doubt. Absolutely love that. One blob, I think. just there. I don't know if that was where I dropped the piping bag, but look at the detail on that. And that golden papyrus came out stunning with those pink leaves in the center as well. And the center came out really nice as well. That for me is my best blue. I'm really, really happy with that. So let me know what you think in comments. If you like this, do you think it's the best one I've done yet from the videos that you've seen? As I say, tiny bit blob there and there, but you can't really tell. It is that stunning. And I think it looks natural anyway. But that is what 3D blooms are all about. When you get a result like that, it makes all of those failures worthwhile. So again, thanks for watching. Keep watching the content. I'm going to be doing a lot more experiments with blooms, a few more pendants as well, and lots of other things over the next few weeks. So again, thanks for watching. Hope you like the bloom, and I'll see you on the next one.